guys? I'm Wolfie, and today we are going to talk about the 49ers losing to the Rams. Sad face. Is the season over? Yes. Yes, it is. Then we're also going to talk about Campbell quitting, which is fucking insane. Maybe some draft prospects, maybe like draft prospects, but talk about draft needs. And then in the future, we'll, of course, talk about draft prospects when we do our research and etc. And is it worth like just still fighting, even though the season is pretty much over with a 0.1% chance or some shit, like zero, is it 0.01% chance? I don't know. They got a lot of things that have to go their way. Before we get started, be sure to sub. If you haven't subbed already, like the live. If you like this content, I do apologize for the lighting. Usually when it's about dark, this yellow ass light that I have on my kitchen table is just, it makes it look like, I don't know. I don't like it. The lighting is absolutely atrocious. So if you guys can pull through that, I appreciate it. Like the live, sub. It helps me out a lot. It helps me grow. I'm a small channel, and my dream is to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that way we can just keep the conversation going. And that's what this channel is all about. It's just having a great conversation. Even if the 49ers are falling apart and the season's over, we talk about other things in the NFL as well. We're just here to have a great conversation. And of course, we are sponsored by water. It's really good for you. It helps clean your skin. It helps you have beauty like this. You know what I mean? No, like very little amount of pimples right now on my face and stuff like that. It's good for your kidneys, good for your organs, helps clean it out. You do have to use the bathroom a lot, but it's just so good for you. Water. Also, Waterboy, also endorsed by Waterboy. So, all right. So let's go ahead. Before we get into the devandre Campbell thing quitting, I kind of want to jump right into the 49ers losing to the Rams and their season officially being over. I am proud of this team. And you might ask yourself, like, why are you proud of this team? Why are you proud of what happened? This is you lost. You're out of your season. They didn't perform. They didn't get it done. They fought. They fought their ass off, from Kittle to Hufanga, who constantly got hurt, wanted to keep coming back, to Fred with that ankle injury, to Brock Purdy, to just across the board. You know, this entire team, this culture. I feel like if this team was any other team, that I guess maybe not just like the name, maybe not name the Chiefs, they would have fallen apart and not even get 6 wins. I feel like with everything that has happened with this team, there is something to take away from this when it comes to the culture. This team fought, and it fought hard. It did what it could. Everyone, if literally a year from now, people are going to look back on this team, I believe this to my core, and think to themselves, okay, that makes sense what happened this year. From injuries that are equivalent to the 2020 49ers that everyone even looks back on today and says to themselves, okay, that makes sense why they did not go to the playoffs with all those injuries. Same thing with this situation as well. Not only was it 2020-esque type injuries, there were bad luck, there were personal tragedies, there was Madden curses, we were favored 17-0 from all the games from the start of the season to the Super Bowl hangover. I mean, to holdouts, there's just so many things where if there was a bad culture or a team that didn't believe in themselves, this team would have fell apart a long time ago. This team would not have come close to 6 wins, and I absolutely love that. And you get to see that when you watch George Kittle. When you watch George Kittle in his press conferences, when you watch Mooney Ward, when you watch Nick Bosa, you can see and you can tell that this culture is actually there. There is something there, and they actually fought and said, hey, we're going to see just who these players are and who actually wants to stay here and who actually is good for this culture. They fought for this team. They fought hard, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of this squad for doing everything they can to fight against all the narratives, to fight against everything going against them. I can't think of a single time this year where something has gone their way. I can't think of one. This team is awesome. I love my 49ers. I love what they've done. And we're going to look back on this season and think to ourselves, okay, that makes sense. It's absolutely insane that we even got 6 wins. Heck, we might even get more from here on out. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud to be a 49ers fan. I love my team, and I can't wait to see what happens next year, because everything that happened this year, I cannot imagine happening again. Even from the holdouts, I can't imagine there being many people that are holding out, because it's really just Brock Purdy that's left Lenore has been signed already. And outside of that, Jordan Mason, I guess, but he's an RFA. So that means most likely he's going to return because a player would have to give up a huge draft pick just to sign him. So, and the only real person to sign after that would be Banks and Greenlaw. And I think we should re-sign Greenlaw because Greenlaw obviously is a difference maker. He's still got it, still the great player. That was something I was very concerned by heading with him coming back from his injury. Like, is he the same player? Is he coming back way too soon? No. In that going to the Rams game, he was the difference maker. He was the guy who brought the energy. Even Kittle even said it. He's just that guy that manifests the whatever flaw there is with the defense gets erased because simply he is on the field. He was the best player on the field against the Rams. He wanted to win. And after that loss, Dre Greenlaw did not get into his hands and this is sad. This is bullshit. No, he's like, I love this team. I love this team. I love what we can do. I want to play again tomorrow. I don't give a shit if I'm sore. He is a huge deal to this team. And I think we need to resign him first thing. Brock Purdy still deserves his contract. I know that he did not play very well in that game. He made some underthrows, overthrows, etc. But he's still that guy, man. He's still clutch. He still makes some plays. I believe in him. And if we sign him to a big contract, it's well-deserved. That man is better than Trevor Lawrence. And if you're better than Trevor Lawrence, you deserve at least $55 million, man, 110%. I love this team. And I love the future that is coming our way. People want to say the window's closed, which I don't see how that's possible. I don't see that. With the injuries to the holdouts to the personal tragedies between multiple players, this year was destined to not make the playoffs. There is nothing you can look at this season and think to yourself, man, they really should have made the playoffs with this. They should have made the playoffs with that. No. The fact that they even got 6 wins is a bloody miracle. And that is something that we should be proud of with our team. This team should be a 2-win team, 3-win team easily based on everything that has happened. And I think that us as 49ers fans need to appreciate what they brought despite everything. And I certainly do. I appreciate this team for everything that they brought, the joy they brought, the excitement they brought. I mean, I had a great time. Like, I made a lot of friends through this channel. This channel has grown through the 49ers, and I couldn't be more thankful. I've had nothing but a blast. Even through the bad times, man, we've had great conversations. They fought. And I feel like as a fan, and even though I didn't play, but I feel like as a fan rooting for this team, watching them play, I felt like I was a part of that culture. And I'm going to be part of that culture where I'm going to listen to what George Kittle has to say. This team's not going to quit. Well, I'm going to listen to what Bosa has to say. What we're going to do, the true colors are going to show themselves the next few weeks. And I think that should apply to fans as well. Bosa and the 49ers team is calling on you to stand up for your team and understand exactly what this team is. Because 2 to 3 years from now, even next year, you're going to look back on this and think to yourself, holy shit, how did we get 6 wins? How? We look back on 2020 and be like, okay, that makes sense. We look back on 2020 and be like, okay, all those injuries, everything, just all that happened to us made sense. And literally the next year we took right off and went straight into the NFC Championship game. Same thing in 2024. We went to the in 2019, we went to the Super Bowl. Next year, injury prone. Next year after that, NFC Championship game. History's repeating itself. Went to the Super Bowl in 2023, injury prone in 2024. Why not in 2025 does this team come back to its old ways? Why not? All the players are coming back. Well, most of them. And even without Debo, there is still a great team here. There's still a team here that can win games. And with Pearsall getting more reps and actually probably getting an actual offseason this time, Jacob Cowing learning from all the wide receivers and getting all the reps that he's got next year, maybe he's better. There's a lot of potential here. The defense, Dre Greenlaw comes back, Fred comes back, Bosa's going to be there. Why not? It doesn't make sense. There's going to be haters this year. There's going to be people who's going to push against this team because that's what it is. That's what happens. You're dominant for so long, and then a year where everything goes wrong, regardless of how justified it is, people are going to come at you. People are going to say you suck. People are going to say this team is trash. I beg to differ. I think that any other team that went through what the 49ers went through, they would have the exact same record, if not worse. I'm proud of this team. I love this team. And I'm going to be by my team no matter what. As long as they show fight, as long as they show me a reason to keep being part of this team, as long as they show me that, hey, this culture is still alive and that we were just as dominant as we were last year, we're going to be dominant again next year. And that's what I saw in the press conference after this game. I felt defeated. I felt beaten. I felt physically beaten after that game. And then when I watched that press conference, I never felt better. I was like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right, George Kittle. You're right, Bosa. You're right, Ward. This team believes in itself. It knows what it wants to do for the rest of the games. It wants to keep fighting. Just like Bosa said, we're going to see people's true colors after this week. I don't expect them to stop fighting. So don't expect me as a fan to stop believing. Just not. I love my team. And another thing, a lot of people were like, oh, well, they suck now. Literally hearing that from Cowboys fans. We beat you. You're hearing this from teams that are losing teams that are not even coming close to the 49ers. Even this year. And they're talking shit. You know what that means? We're doing something right. They want the culture to fall apart. They want this team to fall apart. And I'm not going to be part of it. I'll be realistic. I'll say if one thing happens, I'll be like, okay, Debo's washed. That is realistic. That is a realistic thing that you cannot debate. But as long as this culture stands its ground and through the players, you see that culture still standing its ground, why not? I love this team. And as long as they keep having that culture, I will keep loving it. But if we go back to a Chip Kelly, Jim Tom Sula type culture and mentality, then yes, I'll be like, okay, let's shit on the team now because they need to fix it. But there's nothing to fix when everything that's happened to this team has been outside of their control. The odds have been stacked against them from the start. From the start. And I mean literally from the Super Bowl. I'm not talking week one. I'm talking from the Super Bowl on. It's been nothing but bad 49er stuff, bad 49er stuff, bad 49er stuff, bad 49er stuff. So I'm asking you as a fan to recognize the logic here. And the logic is this team is still what they are last year. Still what they were years before, a year before that one, a year before that one. The same culture where they had nothing but injuries in 2020 and then in next year go to the NFC Championship game. That same team. This is the same team. I'm standing by my team because they're standing by what they always have done culture-wise. And me as a fan, that's my job as well. They need our back. And I'm going to get their back. But again, I will be realistic. Culture falls apart, I'll tell you. If Debo is washed, I'll tell you. That dude's fucking washed. He's done. I'll be realistic in that standpoint. But I will believe. We are the faithful. And as long as those players remember that and keep that, I'm going to as well. Because I feel part of this team, and you as a fan should also feel part of this team. We're not the Panthers. We're not the Jets. We're not the Browns. We're the San Francisco 49ers, who have gone to NFC Championship games, Super Bowls, have defeated great teams after great team, who don't even touch an NFC Championship game, who don't even touch a Super Bowl. I'm not giving up just because one bad season of everything going against us. Everything. There's not one fucking thing that's gone our way this year. The miracle was making the playoffs, regardless of how our team played. Am I disappointed in some things? Yeah, sure. Did I want to see a little more fight here and there? Yeah, sure. But for the most part, from everything they're dealing with, if it was any other team, I would be saying this team completely gave up. from the get. Ward lost his daughter, comes back and performs. CMC has the Achilles tendonitis issue. Comes back. Everyone says he's not going to come back until December. Comes back in November. Fights his way back and has another seriously bad injury that's not related to that. He keeps fighting. The offensive line is absolutely atrocious. The run game can't get their thing going. But you know what? Jordan Mason makes big plays. Guerrero makes we learned so much about this team when it comes to rookies. Guerendo's amazing. Mustafa looks like a future All-Pro. There is so much to love about this team and the future of this team. Green looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The young players that we've drafted and signed from the past 2 to 3 years will be here in 2026, 2027, 2028, and they look amazing. Amazing. So this team is not done. This window is not closed, especially if these players are still preaching, we're not done. We're going to keep fighting. So I love this team. And I loved, again, I felt beaten. I felt beaten to a pulp after that game against the Rams. And if it wasn't for George Kittle, wasn't for Ward, wasn't for Bosa, I'd probably still feel defeated now. If they're not giving up with everything they had to go through and the hard work they had to put in vain, and they're still not giving up, I'm not going to give up as a fan who just watches it. So I'm going to get to these comments right now, but that's how I feel about the Rams loss and how I feel like this team, how I'm not going to give up on this team. How there is nothing you can tell me where this team is just going to fall off the next 3 or 4 years and continue to, and it's going to repeat itself this year. There's nothing. All right. Debo Prod says depression. Hey, man, put your head up, dude. Just because we didn't go to playoffs one time out of 7 years. Sorry, twice because of the injury problem. There are things to be happy about. There are things to be thankful for. We're not in limbo every year after year after year after year. We're not in a hole year after year after year after year. Sometimes, man, life just catches up to you. Sometimes the luck just catches up to you, and that's what happened. I'm not depressed. I was depressed before that press conference last night. I was. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I felt recharged. I felt like, okay, yeah, you know what? You know what, Kittle? You know what, Ward? You know what, Bosa? You're right. You're right. This season is a season from hell, and that if it was any other team, Eagles, Chiefs even the Chiefs, I feel like wouldn't even be able to survive what they went through today. The Chiefs have survived a lot of shit. The Bills, hell no. Hell no. No, they wouldn't. So there's a lot coming our way. So Jaxo, literally him. Hi, I'm high. Thank you for asking. Appreciate it. Campbell's soup, new phrase. Campbell's soup, we go in. I don't know what that means. Catch praise, Campbell's soup. I don't know what that means, brother. I'll debate that. He could be having a down year. Gino and Darnold were washed. I don't know what that means. Next year, we will have Pooney, Mustafa, Green, plus rookies and whatever vets we keep. There's so much. There are some players that we need to get rid of or move on from, but for the most part, the core, the culture is still there. And it's clearly being passed on to Ufunga. I feel like it's being passed on to Guerrero. It's being passed on to a lot of other players. And that's what matters the most. So, would you say Hargrave's washed or a down year? I would say he's washed. Personally, I'm going to jump on the washed train here because last year I don't think he really performed that well. And then this year he wasn't really showing himself too much. I know he got that the pector, which is a big deal, but I think he's done. I don't think he has that play anymore. And I think he's like, 32, 33 years old, which is about where players decline, about where players get finished. They're done. So honestly, if I'm the 49ers, I know they restructured his contract. I haven't looked at it, but I did hear, I can't remember who told me, I think it was 49ers media, told me that the 49ers will actually save a lot more money by cutting him post June 1st. So this is what I think is going to happen. I think the 49ers are going to get Hargrave back, see what he looks like in OTAs, mini camp, I mean, and just consider it. But I think you should move on from him post June 1st. You save a lot of money by cutting that guy, and you can sign a lot more players and re-sign players next year as well. So, and you can use that money for Brock Purdy's contract as well. So I do believe that Hargrave is done. I do think Hargrave needs to move on. So is Debo. Even though I think the 49ers are going to keep Debo, that's my opinion. But personally, myself, I would move on from him. To me, I know Brock had that interception at the end. I know that. And Kyle didn't have the greatest game plan ever. He did not. Only 6 points is bullshit, no matter how you look at it. But literally, Debo Samuel dropping that ball, which would have been a touchdown, I cannot get over that. I can't get over that. That is just way too much for me, man. That cost us the game. Because at that point, Brock Purdy now has to feel like, okay, Debo's not helping me. Juwan Jennings, he's good, but he's not getting open the way I need him to. Kittle is probably out there as well. And then Brock Purdy then felt that pressure and was like, okay, I need to put it in my hands. And I do agree that Juwan Jennings is a 4'7" guy. Kittle is like, what, a 4'6", 4'7" guy himself? And they're doing go routes. Debo can't get separation, do his thing. So it's just, I feel like Purdy at the end there felt like, okay, it's in my hands. I need to make a miracle play. He didn't have to. But in my opinion, I feel like he felt the need that something miracle needs to happen, and I need to make it happen. And that's what happened. So yes, it's bad that it happened. But once Debo dropped that ball, deflation. We still have 1% chance. I like to see how that scenario is possible. I don't know. I think Washington has to lose out. Rams have to lose out. It's like a bunch of players losing out. It's over. I mean, it would literally have to be a miracle. And I mean an actual miracle. It's like 0.001%. Something like that. It's something ridiculous. 30, I think. I don't think he's not 30. Let me check. I'm pretty sure he's not. Let's double check. He's 31 and he'll be 32 in February. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on it. What's your opinion on people who say Purdy isn't a franchise quarterback and shouldn't get paid? My opinion is people are caught up in the moment. People are caught up in 1 year compared to the year and a half of elite production. It is elite production. He was first in QBR, first in passer rating, first in air yards per attempt. He was first in deep ball passes. That's another narrative I can't stand. People are saying that he can't throw deep. That makes no sense. He's first in 20-yard passes last year, first in 40-yard passes last year. And this year, where there's no separation, literally last in separation from his wide receivers, he is second in 20-yard passes. He is seventh in 40-yard passes. He's quite literally, at the very least, a top 7. Like, if you want to take his lowest grade, not even think about the average here, his lowest grade of being the 7th, he's the 7th best deep ball thrower in the league. And I think if you really actually average that out, that's like what? 5th or 4th? So saying that because of one game where he was not good in deep balls and short passes. But also looking at the playoffs too as well. People say the playoffs are the biggest game of the year. It's the biggest game. That's who you really are in the playoffs. You know what Dak Prescott has done? Fucking choked. Done nothing. You know what Lamar Jackson has done? Choked. Absolutely nothing. Has looked pedestrian at best. All these great quarterbacks, supposedly. Jalen Hurts, last year, needed to step up. That team needed him. Lost in a wild card against the Bucs. Brock Purdy, because of him, we beat the Green Bay Packers. Because of Brock Purdy, we beat the Lions. Yeah, sure. Dan Campbell's aggressiveness helped us there. But you could easily say that Brock Purdy was the reason why we won that game. We went to the Super Bowl because of Brock Purdy and his comeback ability. I can't remember what the score was, like 24-7 down in the second half or something like that against the Lions. 17-0, I think, or something like that. It was insane. And Brock Purdy came back and won that game. Doing things that Lamar Jackson can't do, who's two-time MVP, doing things that Dak Prescott can't do, who's been an MVP candidate multiple times, got his bag, done more things than Jalen Hurts has done, and he's had more years than Purdy. And statistically, Brock Purdy has better stats altogether collectively than Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott. So yes, he is a franchise quarterback. People are way too into their feelings about one season where everything goes wrong. In a one season where you want to put everything on Brock Purdy, yet he's getting last in separation. Literally, the Panthers have better separation from their wide receivers. The Giants have better wide receivers separation than the 49ers. And yet Brock Purdy is second in deep and 20-yard passes, seventh in 40-yard passes. He still has a passer rating over 100. People are just caught up way too much in the moment. Is he flawed? Yes. Every quarterback you can look at and be like, okay, that guy's flawed. I can look at Lamar Jackson and point out a lot of things he's flawed in. That dude's a flaw in the playoffs. He can't do shit. Dak Prescott, flaw. Can't do shit in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts literally needs the easiest regular season known to man to go to the playoffs to face the Giants, who were lucky to be there, stomp them, then beat the 49ers without a quarterback where Brock Purdy couldn't even prove himself as a rookie. You're asking way too much of Brock Purdy this year if you're saying that this year is an indictment of his talent and everything he's done before his rookie season and his season after, his full season after that. But you want to look at this season where everything that possibly goes wrong for a team, you want to say it's his fault? He's not a franchise guy? Makes no sense. Literally, okay, even if you want to say he's not a top 5 quarterback, he's a top 10 quarterback. And when you're a top 10 quarterback, you're a franchise quarterback. You are literally a franchise quarterback. I'm sorry, Josh Allen's and Patrick Mahomes don't grow on trees. Those two aren't just franchise quarterbacks. It's not just those two. People are like, oh, he has a weak arm. A weak arm doesn't mean shit. Peyton Manning didn't have the strongest arm. Look where he's at. Peyton Manning I can't remember. Peyton Manning had a terrible season or whatever, and then he just took off. It took him 5 to 6 years to win a Super Bowl. But Brock Purdy gets 2.5 years, and he's not the guy. Joe Montana went 8-23. Is he not a Hall of Famer? When he went 8-23, he still won a Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls. Not the strongest arm. Joe Montana didn't have the strongest arm. Literally considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He is a franchise quarterback, whether you like it or not. Does he have flaws? Yes. Yes, he does. 2.5 years in the league. And you want to say he's not this guy. Also, let's just say for the sake of argument, he's not. Let's just say for the sake of argument, we get rid of him. We move on from him. What are you going to do? Who's better than Brock that you would get next year? You just be starting over. You got the 14th pick. You just hoping and pray that a first-round draft pick quarterback that never fucking works out happens to be better than Brock Purdy, who's been statistically a top 10 quarterback at the very worst. The worst he's done is be a top. That is insane. That's insane. And you want to say he's not a franchise quarterback. That offensive line, I know, just jump on this real quick. That offensive line is atrocious. Trent Williams is not out there. Trent Williams wasn't out there. He's been gone. And even then, he's been pedestrian when he was out there. And I know he has personal tragedies, but I want to point to that. I just want to point to the talent that he's putting on the field. It's not there. He has to deal. I'm surprised it took now for him to have such a bad game. Because week after week after week after week, having to put up with terrible wide receivers and having to be the one consistently all the time, to be the one to show up week after week is a lot for a player. This guy's in 2.5 years, and it took 14 weeks, 15 weeks for him to finally have an absolute pedestrian fucking game. He's the guy. He's the quarterback. He's the franchise. I tell you what, if Brock Purdy has a year where the wide receivers are having some kind of separation, where we have some kind of offensive line, where the defense is performing, where we don't have injuries, the special teams isn't shit, costing poor field positions for the defense, and Brock Purdy is shit, fine, hold that against him. But literally all those things happened in one season. In one collective season, everything that could possibly go against a quarterback happened this year. Everything. I'm surprised it just took now for him to finally have this kind of game. He's incredible. You guys want to hate on him? Fine. He's got a weak arm, but yet he was first in deep passes. First in those. In a year where he can't get any separate, I just cannot stress that enough. A year where his go route balls are to 4-7 wide receivers. 20-yard passes to 4-7 wide receivers. 40-yard passes to wide receivers and tight ends that can't run faster than a DB to save their life. And yet he's 2nd and 7th. He is that guy. Until I see a season where something is going right for the wide receivers, something is going right for the run game, something's going right for the O-line, something's going right for the defense, special teams, etc. Injuries, whatever. And he's shit, fine. I will be like, I'll be realistic with you and be like, okay, I guess you're right about that. He's had a down year. There's nothing I can justify about that. But this year, if there's ever an excuse for a quarterback, especially with the numbers he's putting up, it's this one. It's this one. Ugh. Insane. All right, we got a bunch of comments in here. Let me drink my coffee a little bit, and then we'll get through everything else. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on it. Depending on the franchise core thing. Need to rewatch the game, but do you believe the narrative? They were feeding Debo, Kittle 7 targets, JJ 4, Debo 7.2 rushes, but rookie running back not getting 25 carries. He didn't even trust Mason last year. Do you believe the narrative they were feeding Debo? I do. Even though he didn't get the most targets, but I think like towards the end there, Brock was trying to find Juwan. I don't know when, but I do know that earlier on, Debo was the main target. I did know that in clutch situations, he was the guy. I did notice that there was like, how many screens did that guy get? 2 or 3? And he did nothing with it. Got 5 yards tops. Dropped the balls multiple times. I do believe the narrative that Debo was being forced the ball a little bit. That he was not forced the ball. I want to say part of the game plan, a big part. And when I say big part of the game plan, you don't just go into a game and be like, my entire game plan is solely on this guy. I don't think that. I do think that a big chunk of it was, okay, we need to give Debo X amount of targets, try to get him this here and there. So he's like a big chunk of it, while Juwan was probably a chunk of it as well, and sort of Kittle. But it was definitely Debo and the Juwan show. It was definitely those two. But the problem was you should have made Kittle more of a priority than Debo. You should have made Garendo more of a priority than Debo. And that's saying a lot for a rookie, man. So I do believe that in a sense that there was a narrative, not narrative, but there was a game plan to like maybe 40% to 50% of the game plan was a Debo thing. Debo has one rushes and 20 TDs, so even though not working, I don't mind it. It doesn't matter what you did when it comes to he's been declining since 2021. It sounds to me, Steve-O, you're a Debo guy. I'm not. The man has been declining for 3 years now. 11 targets, 3 receptions in the Super Bowl. He was the game plan in the Super Bowl. Him and Juwan, it was almost the same thing. Him and Juwan in the Super Bowl was the game plan. Same thing with the Rams. Debo and Juwan were the game plan for this one. Tried, rinse, and repeat that same thing. And I do blame Kyle. Like, I'm not on the fire Kyle Shanahan train. I'm not saying, hey, he's trash or whatever. But for this game in particular, he does deserve some criticism. He's this is what happens when you mix friends with business. And I think Kyle thinks Debo as a friend. And that's what happened here. Like, hey man, why are you bitching up? Why are you bitching on Twitter, bro? I got you. I'll get up on you. You're my friend. We're friends. That's what I think happened. People are like, oh, is he afraid of Debo? No. They're friends. And so he's just trying to hook up his friend. And that's what happens with friends with business. The business is he's not that good. He's dropping balls. He's not the same. Doesn't got the same burst. Can't break a tackle to save his life. Can't get any separation, which is a story that's been passed for the past few years now. He's been declining year after year after year. It's only until this year he's hit rock bottom. In a year where Brandon Ayuk was average at best, then he got hurt. We needed him the most. When we needed Debo the most, which was this year, he did not show up. And it showed. It absolutely showed. He's not that guy anymore. Like you could tolerate it for 2 or 3 years because you're like, okay, he's not the worst, right? He's got some flaws now, but he's still kind of performing. Now that's not happening. And so Debo needs to go. He's washed, man. He is washed. He's not the same. He's not even average at anything. It's actually mind-blowing to see it. I love Debo. I know there's going to be some Debo apologists out there, but the reality is he's not that guy anymore. We're paying him $30 million to be, you know what? I'll give him this. I will give him this. He is an elite punt returner or kick returner. He almost came this close from breaking out from that punt return, that kick return. He almost took it to the house. We're paying him, man, I don't know how much. I think it's like $35 million to be an elite kick returner, punt returner. Because he's that good. He's good at that. That's what he's good at. But outside of that, man, he's just pedestrian at best. I swear to God, that catch that he dropped deflated the entire team. Deflated Brock Purdy at that point. Where Brock Purdy at that point was like, oh, I can't rely on this fucking dude. It's just not happening, bro. It's just not happening. So, yeah. Let me look at some of these comments. You're wearing your hat. I am wearing my hat. I'm wearing my hat backwards at that, too. So, Colin Coward's not going to like that. 49 me in the house. Jake, etc. in the house. Purdy isn't good in one-score games, 2-5 record this season, but that's not a good stat. Even Bryce Young has more score wins this season than Purdy. This season is not something you should, like I said, it's not a season that you can honestly indict him on. It's not fair. It's just not fair. Bye-bye, Clown Campbell and Debo. Yeah, Clown Campbell's got to go. That is something I had never seen before in my life. I have never seen that. That is wild. I've seen, what's his name? Vontae Davis, rest in peace, retired, I think, halfway through a game. But I don't think it was as big of a deal or that important at the time. I think he just retired. And everyone was like, what the fuck? Him, Campbell returning here just because Dre Greenlaw, like everything that comes with that name, you want to tell me that Dre Greenlaw doesn't deserve the spot over you when you have not even been good? You're the 61st best linebacker, so you probably would have been better than D. Winters at the time. You probably would have been better than Fanagan Fowles on 1 foot, right? But no, you quit. That's so wild. It makes no sense to me. He has to retire after this. If another team picks him up, I'd be shocked. Absolutely shocked. There's no reason to pick that guy up. His career is done. If he sticks around, I would be so shocked. There is no, like, some of these players have zero self-awareness. Have zero self-awareness. Like, I don't understand. Like, even if I was Devondre Campbell, man, I'd be like, okay, I can see why they want Dre Greenlaw out there. Oh my God, look how he's performing out in the field. Oh my God, our defense looks elite. It's stopping the run. It's crazy, dude. Okay, I can see why he's out there. But for him to be like, yeah, you guys need me? Well, I guess I'm out. Blah, blah, blah. The zero self-awareness from Debo and Campbell's mind blown. Because it's like flashing lights, man, in the rearview mirror. I just don't understand. There's people defending that. There's people defending that. Not even because they're haters. I've seen some haters and stuff. Like, I get that part. Like, if haters want to defend it, they're being haters. They're taking the opportunity to get clout. But there's actual reporters out there. I can't remember her name, but there's somebody out there actually defending it with a serious tone. I don't understand, dude. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I'd offer $45 million and slowly go up. If you want $60 million, I'd tell him let's wait one more season. If you want to see that, that's fine. But I think he's the guy, especially with quarterbacks going to get higher and higher and higher. Maybe, and I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is going to do this, but I do think Brock Purdy, out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, would be the guy to be like, I can't do this on my own. It takes a team. It's a team sport. So I'm going to take a little bit of the cut. It's like a little bit of discount. The only caveat that comes with this, I talked about it before, is the fact that people are going to jump on that and say, see, even he thinks he's not that good. You're going to get people like that. When really it's just his character, and he's going to get the bag. He's going to get $65 million. He's going to get it. I just want you guys to know that's happening. And I'm all for it. But I love Brock Purdy, and I think he's elite. Not this year, but I think with everything going against him, it's kind of hard to ask an elite quarterback to do anything with this team. That's a belief, by the way. I'm not proclaiming that because this year I cannot actually proclaim that. But I think there's an elite quarterback in Brock Purdy. There is one in there. There is. So if you guys think he's worth $45 million, sure, but then you're saying that he's worse than Trevor Lawrence. And that's not the case. He is not worse than Trevor Lawrence. He's better than Trevor Lawrence. He at the very least, deserves $55, $56 million. He deserves more than that guy. And next year, the money is going to get higher, more and more. It's going to get to $80 million probably next year. I wouldn't be shocked if it's $80 million next year for a quarterback. So I think $65 million for Brock Purdy when it's going to be like $80 million sometime next year. Year after that. I think that's a bit of a discount in my opinion. So that's how I feel about that. The problem with Purdy is bad weather. He does have an issue a little bit with bad weather. I'll give you that. There's something I always proclaim with Brock Purdy, and that is that the ball slips from his hands sometimes. Like when it's raining or whatever, like you can count on one fumble from that dude's hand. You can always count on it. But I do agree. Like his weather, he needs to work on his weather. I think personally he needs to have a session with a wet ball and just keep working with a wet ball over and over and over again. That's what needs to happen. Because every time he tries to pump fake, it slips from his hands in bad weather when he pump fakes. Because he likes to pump fake. He does pump fake. So he does have issues in the weather. But a lot of people don't understand, like, even Matthew Stafford struggled. And people think Matthew Stafford's elite. That's another thing I'm confused by. Like, yeah, you want to put the microscope on Brock, but what did Matthew Stafford do? Like, you're allowed to have bad games. You're allowed to have some flaws and weaknesses because every quarterback has one. Every quarterback has an issue. Everyone. Don't talk back on players on team, but Dropbox. I don't know what that means. Oh, Dropbo. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that one before. I don't know. It took Manning 9 years to win a big game. Exactly. It truly, like, you cannot say this guy is not a Hall of Famer after 2.5 years. You cannot say he can't win you a Super Bowl after 2.5 years because the same shit they said about Manning. And people consider him the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not even kidding. It's clearly Tom Brady, but 2.5 years, my man. 2.5 years. And you're going to proclaim this is who he is? I don't understand that. Like, if you want to say he's not that good, if you want to say I don't believe in him, that's an opinion. That is you, like, this is what I think of Purdy. There's a fine line between your opinion and your proclamations. There's a fine line between saying I don't believe in a guy and then straight up saying this is who this guy is. There is a difference. Truly. Like, I may not like Jalen Hurts, but he could be a Hall of Famer one day. He could win them a Super Bowl one day. It could be this year. And I don't like Jalen Hurts. I don't believe in him. I don't think he can do it. I believe he's not a Hall of Famer. I believe he's not going to win a Super Bowl. But it's different when you're saying he's not this guy. There's a difference. Dak Prescott, I feel like at this point, you could say he's not one. I think Dak Prescott at this point, you could say he's not going to win a Super Bowl. He's 30-something years old, had plenty of opportunities to prove himself. Plenty. I mean, fucking plenty. It's just, you cannot say this is who he is when plenty of quarterbacks have needed 5+ years to prove themselves to be a Hall of Famer. Not everyone can be Russell Wilson right off the bat, win a Super Bowl in like 2.5 years. That's actually rare for that to happen. That rarely happens. Josh Allen wasn't that great for, I'm going to say like 2.5 years. He wasn't that great, but like, I think his third year, he became great. He started looking really good. I don't know. CJ Stroud, the guy after 1 year, they said, I know, dude, even after 1 year, you're going to say, this is who this guy is. Hall of Famer. He's elite. He's a top 5 quarterback. Like, this is that guy. And it's like, bro, he needs more time to develop. You haven't even seen him through his sophomore slump. Because sophomore slump is there's a reason why we call it a sophomore slump. And everyone across the league knows what you're talking about. There's a reason why everyone in the NFL and their mom knows what you're talking about when you say sophomore slump. Poggy said it best, man. If you really want to look at it, this is technically Brock Purdy's sophomore slump. Yeah, he had his rookie season, he started week 13. You could argue this is his sophomore slump in a year where everything went wrong possibly for a quarterback. I mean, everything. I mean, holy shit. Like, I'm trying to think of something that hasn't happened to him other than he's gotten hurt. He's gotten his ass beat. He's lost his left tackle. His wide receivers I can't think of anything. Just can't. Don't look now, Wolfie. You making too much sense. Hey, Taylor going the host. Appreciate you. If Purdy joins another team and start cooking, these people will choke on their own spit, begging for him back. I know. I think he would perform on another team. I think he would be great on another team. If he was on the Eagles right now, he'd be outperforming Hurts, bar none. Bar none. Literally, Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, has better weapons now, better offensive line, than what Purdy had last year. And last year, Purdy was first in so many categories. So many quarterback categories. Jalen Hurts doesn't have one. And yet he has A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. He has Dallas Goedert, who's top 10 tight end, and Saquon Barkley, the best running back in the league. It's bar for bar the same thing, except for Jalen Hurts has an elite offensive line. Brock Purdy last year had a bottom between 20 and 32 offensive line. And he performed. Jalen Hurts has the best offensive line, in my opinion, in the league. And he can't get one fucking stat. Not one. That's another thing that drives me nuts when someone says that Jalen Hurts is Brock Purdy. Not even fucking close. Not even close. Jalen Hurts is literally a grade below Brock Purdy right now. Last time I checked. They could be different now because I haven't seen it yet. But last time I checked, it was 105 point whatever, something like that. His passer rating was, and all-time, Brock Purdy's, all-time Jalen Hurts was 92 point something, which is a whole grade less from the greatest passer rating in a year from any quarterback. The greatest passer rating was Aaron Rodgers with 122. With the math currently right now, Brock Purdy has an 87% grade. That's a B plus, I believe. Jalen Hurts had a C at 70. I can't remember. I threw away the paper. I was going to do a video on it, but I quit. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Has a whole grade less than him in passing. I'm not sitting here trying to make this a video about Jalen Hurts, but I just don't like that comparison. Even if you thought Hurts was better than Purdy, they are not the same quarterback. They are not the same. They do not do the same things. Not even close. Even if you think Hurts is better than Purdy. I can't stand that comparison. It kills me. It just drives me nuts. It's like it drives me nuts, dude. All right, if Purdy joins another team, I agreed. If you throw a rookie behind that O-line, he isn't going to succeed. Not at all, Spartan. Spartan the host. Good to see you. Good to see you. Purdy from week 13, 2022 in the Dolphins game to week 13 in 2023 in the Cardinals game was an elite quarterback and a top 7 QB ever since the Ravens versus game, though. He's been mid. Stats prove it as well. I disagree with that because if he was mid, then he would not have been the reason why we beat the Green Bay Packers. If he was mid, he would not be the reason why we beat the Lions or the reason we went to OT with Patrick Mahomes, which, by the way, was closer to beating the Chiefs than any other team that year. The Bills, the Ravens, you name it. Brock Purdy came closer than any other team of beating that team in the playoffs. Any team. I understand that because what happens is you see that game and you're like, okay, my optics have changed. He threw 4 interceptions. My optics changed. Ridiculous. The next week after that, he performed. Literally against the Washington Commanders, I think it was, he fucking obliterated them. That was right after he got dominated by the Ravens. He had an elite game after that. And another thing, great elite quarterbacks don't throw 4. Peyton Manning threw 6. He's thrown 6 in a game. Tom Brady, I think, threw 4 or 5. So I don't want to hear that one game last year on Christmas Day, that's who he is. That makes no sense. You see a bad game from a player, it fucks with your optics. You're like, okay, well, I've seen this, so maybe from here on out. No, he performed after that game. He performed in the playoffs and got closer than any other quarterback in the playoffs against the Chiefs. And if it wasn't, I swear to God, if it wasn't for that shitty-ass move by Burford, letting Chris Jones just straight up get Brock Purdy there, where he had to make a read in less than a second to throw the ball, I promise you Brock would have solved Ayuk in that end zone and thrown that ball. I do not understand. There's content creators out there that are saying, oh, well, he should have saw Ayuk. Literally, Chris Jones went unblocked. The best defensive player that year, in one of the best, I don't want to say but he was up there in charge of the best defense that year, straight up unblocked. I wouldn't be surprised if you mic'd up Brock Purdy in that moment and he went full Geno. Oh, shit. Like, I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you heard that. It's not, some of these things that people hold Brock Purdy to is not fair. The standard in which they hold Brock Purdy to is not fair. All we're saying is, yeah, he's a 7th round draft pick. He deserves some respect on his name, but you swear to God that we're saying he's Tom Brady. You swear to God that we're saying like he deserved to be the number 1 overall pick and he's going to win multiple Super Bowls, etc. No, I'm saying at the very least, give him top 5, top 10, like 5-ish area to top 10-ish area. No further than that, credit. And that is a franchise quarterback. Players should not be dropping passes. Week 15, not week 4. I agree, I agree. I think that there was multiple drops in that game. Brock Purdy did not have his best game in that, but it doesn't help when you're the quarterback and you're seeing your wide receivers drop things left and right. And you're like, what could I possibly do more with terrible separation and dots? And I mean, the moment Debo dropped the fucking ball, you could see the deflation on Purdy. He was like, oh my God, it's over. He's like, shit, dude. At that moment, Purdy felt like he had to put it in his hands. Like everything. I feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him. Unless he gets paid. Unless he gets paid, then whatever. I don't feel bad because you got paid. You're good. Purdy had every ounce of pressure on him. No run game, no subpar blocking, and 0 separation by the receivers. Well, the computer is thriving that. None. Joe Burrow, for example, playing elite ball, dude, right now. Playing elite ball. His wide receivers are dropping shit left and right. His defense is atrocious. That defense is so bad. I may Lenore as somebody on this team, kickers and punters included. We used to have 7, 8 Pro Bowlers. We got Kittle, maybe Pooney. I think Pooney is going to be like a lot of people criticize, like, you got a guard. Well, you got an all-pro guard now. That's something. Now it's time to focus on center and tackle. Jump into the draft situation. It's time to focus on the trenches. The number 1 focus for the 49ers coming into this season, offseason, is the trenches. And I can't believe I'm saying that because they've addressed the trenches every other year, I think, except for last year. That is bonkers. So, trenches, offensive line, D-line from here on out. You got the Pearsall, you got the Cowing. Yeah, you probably need a backup tight end, but you got plenty of running backs coming back next year. You got plenty of running backs. You got the wide receivers you drafted last year. You just need to get a backup tight end and to study under Kittle because he's 31, 32, something like that, and just focus on offensive line and D-line. And if we resign Greenlaw, especially if we resign Greenlaw, there's, in my opinion, you got Green, you got Lenore. You maybe need to work on a slot guy, maybe not a slot guy, but an opposite corner. But it's not that high a priority when you got the offensive line and the D-line being diminished as it is. The trenches, 110% need to be the number 1 priority. Number 1, especially if we resign Greenlaw because we're good at corner, we're good at safety, and we're good at linebacker. We're good at wide receiver. We're good at running back. Literally, the only needs are D-line and O-line and backup tight end. Just one question. Deep pass completions, deep pass accuracy, or deep pass attempts? Deep pass completions, deep pass accuracy, deep pass attempts. Completions. Those are completions. First in completions, 20 yards. First in 40-yard passes. Completions. Those are completions. Yeah. That good. So to say he's not a deep ball guy is just weird to me. I don't understand that because you can literally look it up. He's the opposite of that. The opposite. I'd pay Purdy, but you got to build the trenches up. Purdy is good, but I don't think he's elite. You got to have either elite QB or O-line to win the Super Bowl, and right now we don't have either. I don't think you need an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl, and I don't think you need an elite offensive line. I can't remember who it was, but like multiple quarterbacks who didn't have the best offensive line with a mid, if not backup quarterback. I can't name them all, like Plummer, and there's a few other ones. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but there's been a few forgettable quarterbacks you don't even think about. Nick Foles, I guess he did have top offensive line though, so you're right about that. But you do have to have somewhat of a good offensive line. I'll give you that, but I don't think you need an elite offensive line to win Super Bowls with a mid quarterback. But I'm done with Debo. Just rather build him up and say we have all bad day than send him death threats. And I'm sure some fans are. I'm done with Debo. Just rather build him up. People are sending him death threats. Yeah, that's too far. That's too far. I would not send him death threats. The only people I feel like that are doing that are gambling addicts. Okay, people who are obsessed with their parlay or whatever. That is bullshit. You do not send someone death threats over a football game. You just don't. So, yeah, I agree with that. You should not be hitting up his family or it's between you and Debo and your opinion of Debo. But if you gamble, you put the money in, that is on you. That is your fault. Especially if you gambled on Debo, who hasn't given you anything this year. That is your fault. And you're the one to blame. And you know who doesn't blame themselves? Addicts. Addicts don't blame themselves. They blame everyone else but themselves. Do not threaten people. It's ridiculous. That is some childish shit, dude. Especially when it's your fucking fault. You decided to put money into something you have no control over. When you gamble, especially in football, when it's not within your own control, it is your fault. It is 110% your fault when you decide to put money into something that is outside of your control. Football, when I watch the game, when I watch this team play, it's outside of my control. I just root for them. I love the team. I believe them. I represent them. What sucks is that by representing them, I'm going to get shit later from people. People are going to come up to me and give me crap. So that's what happens when you represent a team. And some people want to blame the team for it. And it's like, no, you chose to represent this team. You chose to do this. You chose to put your love and faith and representation into something you can't control. And if you can't handle that to the point where you have to send someone death threats, that is your fault. Debo nearly dragged this team to winning the Super Bowl in 2020. Might not be that great now, but I always love him. You can always love him. Like you're right to that. Like he's giving you great memories, respectively. But he is who he is now. He is who he was the year before that. Not that great. He was good, but not that great. Before that, I think in 2022, he had a terrible year. But in 2023, he actually had a decent year. But what he is this year is not good. It's washed. That's the reality of it. And, we all have players that we love, and it's sad to see them fall apart. It's sad to see them go away. It's sad to see that talent. It's like you're literally watching your dog die in front of you. It's like they give you great memories. So, and I don't think, and I do not believe that Debo was was the reason why we went to Super Bowls. Debo was not the reason. I don't think. Was he a weapon? Sure. But I don't think it was him that dragged us there. 2021, maybe, because that was such a great season where we had injuries, I think, to the backfield and we desperately need it. So that one you can kind of argue we're like, okay, he was clutch there. But in 2019 and 2020 and 2022, 23, no. 2021, I see where you come from. I don't think you can get washed that fast. He was slowly declining year after year after year, though. It just seems sudden. But if you really pay attention, after that 2020 season, he was slowly falling to the bottom of the barrel. right? He was slow to. It's not like Justin Tucker, where Justin Tucker had like one bad year. I think last year was like okay, and then immediately hit rock bottom. Justin Tucker needs to be studied because that dude fell off completely. I don't know what happened to that guy. That is washed. That is washed. I can't agree with some of this in chat. We can't get it better for Debo. How much more can we put in his favor? This was absolutely his year. It's time to step up. He has not figured. I agree. I think that he personally, this was his years to shine, and he did not show up. He had ample opportunities to be that guy, and he wasn't. George Kittle, I think at the time before the bye week, Kittle was getting significantly less targets than Debo was, and Kittle was doing more. Like, you can't tell me that 60 touches is not a good sample of what you've been doing this year. That's a lot of touches, man. That's like what an average wide receiver gets. I'm not saying like an elite wide receiver like Justin Jefferson gets, whatever, right? But 60 touches is a good sample size to show, like, what are you doing this year? I don't understand that part. Can we talk about why Kyle needs to play rookies? Because Pearsall and Purdy's chemistry has been awful. They need to work on that immediately. Get away. I love what people are saying about, like, Debo needs to, like, some people say Debo just completely erase him from it. Like, no, don't erase him from it because we still want to win games from here on out. You know, and he's still on the roster. He's getting paid a lot of money or whatever. And like, just don't remove him from the game plan. But I do agree that like he needs to take a back seat in the sense that Pearsall needs to be up front more. Cowing needs to be up front more. But I don't think you should just bench him for the rest of the year. You know, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, the Pearsall and Purdy connection needs to work out. That needs to happen. So I do expect the rest of the year from here on. I do agree with 49ers media. You need to take this time, these valuable reps, very valuable reps, and try to get that connection going between Purdy and Pearsall because it's way too important. It was not Pearsall's fault. He got open in that he would have had a touchdown if Brock Purdy did not underthrow him. It was like an underthrow, overthrow thing to Pearsall on that post route. That was Purdy's fault. I'll give you that. Because that would have been a touchdown if he caught Pearsall in stride. It's almost as if they're working together because there was also, I think it was against the Bears game where Pearsall just stopped running and he looked back and was like, what? When really he should just kept going in stride and Pearsall would have caught it and probably would have been a touchdown. So I do agree that Pearsall and Purdy need to work on that connection, especially since he's a first-round draft pick. That needs to happen. But I'm also not going to hold too much to Pearsall and the Purdy connection because Pearsall did not start getting reps. And I mean reps. I mean like training camp reps until like week 7. So he didn't have training camp. He didn't have preseason. He had none of that. Didn't have early in the year. So I do expect him to kind of not get it figured out. He is a rookie. He does deserve some leeway here. But Pearsall and the Purdy connection needs to work out. Needs to figure it out. Pearsall needs to learn to truly defeat man coverage, which he did last week. He did against the Rams on that post. He did his job, but Purdy couldn't give it to him. He couldn't feel his speed. Couldn't feel speed. I do agree. Make Levi Stadium a dome. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. We'll never have to worry about that fucking bad weather shit ever. Ron Smith, 1980, refused to return a punt in the first quarter. Did he? That's a trip. He refused to return a punt? It's weird. I judge players by where they were drafted or how much they make. Play only. If I judge pods by subs, I won't be here. I wouldn't be here. Really enough, Smith got a job with Philly the season after. I know you're a Philly fan. You probably don't like what I say about Jalen Hurts, but I feel like you know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. So Pearsall and Perry had chemistry before the season, kind of weird. I heard they had a chemistry, but it's not the same as game reps or when you get in the preseason going against other talent, right? It's not the same. If all I had to do was play horribly and quit mid-game to get another chance in the NFL, I would do it. He hasn't had no business playing in this league again. You're talking about Campbell, of course. I agree. He does not deserve to be – if he gets picked up by another team, I'm going to hate that team forever. Fuck that team. I'm sorry. I'm jaded now when it comes to devandre Campbell, whoever picks that dude up, and I can totally see I could totally see a team that doesn't like the 49ers picking him up. That's a contender for the fuck of it, being like, haha, we're going to get him a ring. I could see that. I could 100% see that. And whoever does that, fuck you. That's what I got to say about that, dude. Oh, especially when they keep announcing tackle by Greenlaw. Then he had 10 tackles in the first half. He was phenomenal. Dre Greenlaw was phenomenal. I cannot stress how good he was, dude. Saw him left and right. He made the subpar run defense, which was our biggest concern heading into the game, look elite. Look outstanding. He was everywhere, dude. I love Greenlaw so much, man. We got to keep him somehow. We got to keep him. And Fred loves him way too much, And I know some people said I'll keep Banks over Greenlaw, but I'm sorry. But from what I saw from Greenlaw, you can't let that go. I would totally much rather try to get a offensive lineman in free agency or the draft. Much rather do that than get rid of Dre Greenlaw, who was just so fucking good, dude. So electric. It was absolutely electric. You guys know what meme I'm talking about? Where that one guy was like, wow, the atmosphere was just absolutely amazing. It was electric. You know what I'm talking about? Devandre Campbell needs to retire. Yeah, he does. Brady took pay cuts and team-friendly deals. One of the reasons we got all those Super Bowls, he did. He took pay cuts. And if he does, man, I'll be so happy if Purdy does that. I feel like other teams would be jealous of that. And again, come back to that narrative I told you where, see, even Purdy doesn't even think he's that good. I don't give a fuck. If he takes a pay cut, all right, that means we're able to continue the dynasty. Not dynasty, because we're not a dynasty yet. But we're able to keep the Super Bowl window even more so. He would be doing the organization, the team, a huge favor by doing that, even though he does not have to. I would love it. I hope he does. I so hope he does. Jags made a mistake by paying him that much, not Niners' problem. Yeah, I understand what you're saying by that. 50 college in the house. Good to see you. Made that mistake's not the Niners' problem. Yeah, but it's still a line that's drawn in the payroll. It's still a line that's drawn for quarterbacks. You set the standard regardless of how you feel about that. Even though the Jags made the mistake, it's kind of like when the Jags signed Christian Kirk and just skyrocketed the wide receiver market. Suddenly every wide receiver had to get this, had to get that, had to get this because of Christian Kirk. It's just the way it is. So no matter what, even if you want to say you shouldn't because they made a mistake, there's nothing you could do about it because it's always that the line that's drawn between how bad a quarterback is the line is drawn. Like you could say that, okay, Danny Dimes did not deserve $40 million, but he got it anyway because at the time the line was drawn. You either wanted him or you don't. So same thing with Purdy. You either want him or you don't. You want someone else to make the mistake or you make the mistake. It's either or. And if you wanted to say that, so let's say you think that Purdy's not as good as Dak Prescott, right? So then you could pay him less than $65 million. But you know for a fact he's better than Trevor Lawrence. So he's definitely going to get paid something between $55 and $65 million. It's just the going rate, and that's just how it is. Until another team gets a quarterback who's good, better than another quarterback who didn't take a discount and took all the money that they can, until that happens, it's always going to be this way. And I think even then when that happens, it's not going to change. Our season is in the shitter this year. It is. Alex plays in the house. It is, but it makes sense. It makes sense for this season to turn out the way it did. If we went to the playoffs, it would have been a miracle from the start. If you told me before this season started everything that was going to happen to this team, I never would have even guessed 6 wins. It wouldn't even cross my mind. I'd be like, okay, that's easily 2-3 wins. Let's just get a top draft pick. It's over. People think the 2020 season was justified. If you think the 2020 season made sense to you, damn well sure that this season makes sense to you. Like anything, everything and anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Anything and everything. All facts. Wolfie pitched a shutout. This dude knows game. Thank you, Trevor. I appreciate that. Appreciate the love, man. You're making me blush. Thank you. Purdy needs to take the check down. He did it against the Bears, and they got the yak. Can't force the ball. Debo. I know, but I think what happened there when Debo dropped the ball, I think what happened was you could see it on Purdy's face. He was defeated. Not defeated, he was deflated. He was like, I have to do this myself. I have to make a miracle play. I have to make a miracle play for this to win. And I think that's what ended up happening. And he said it after the game, like, I shouldn't have done that. I just felt like that I could make this happen. And I threw the ball, even though I didn't see this. He felt like he had to make a miracle play. And we all know there was a check down there, and he should have threw it. I agree. Especially when you have the field goal to tie the game, in which with everything going with the Rams and how they were playing, you want to tie the game at least. So I do agree that he made a mistake there. But I think what happened was after that Debo drop, I felt it too. I'm not going to lie to you as a fan. When he dropped that ball, I was like, we're going to need like a crazy play from Purdy. We're going to need to see Purdy do something insane. We're going to have to. That's how I felt. And I'm not the quarterback. Wolf pitched a perfect. Thanks, 49. Usually 49ers media kind of disagrees with me. I see you. I see you. I see you. $6 million says Dak is the best. Could have done it in 16 if only you don't leave Aaron Rodgers 35 seconds. Wasn't that? I thought the 35 seconds was wasn't that in game? Was that in the regular season? I think that was in the season. Super Bowl slump is real. I mean, also filthy casual. You got to look at other things too. It was not only the Super Bowl hangover and Papa J and a bunch of other OGs that come into this live. They know what I'm talking about, what I'm about to say. Super Bowl hangover, Madden curse. I mean, fucking tenfold, dude. Madden curse. And there needs to be a new curse, which is the 17-0 curse. The 49ers, before the season started, were favored in every single game. And when I saw that, I was like, all right, that's a little, why are we favored? I was like, I don't know about that. I was like, I don't know about that. Like, at least give us one underdog, right? I think that being an underdog brings out the best in everybody. You know, I like being the underdog. I really do. And I think that's why everyone else likes being the underdog. Just because, like, I'm not saying you're not just playing with house money. You're also dealing with, like, every single play that you do surprises somebody. Every score you make is a surprise. If every lead that you have is a surprise. If you win, it's a surprise. The expectations that you better do this, or you are this team, so you better do this, is significantly different. You're not playing with house money anymore. So I think being the underdog just mentally is better for teams. And that's pretty much what happened to the 49ers when they went 3-5. They became underdogs. Everything was against them. Even though they didn't have that many injuries, they were just playing bad. They were underdogs, and they were playing with house money, and they made it happen. Truth, Brock over Hurts. I would take Brock over Hurts any day. Hurts 51 every year, so Purdy's 52 million. No, because he's better. Because Hurts got paid like 2 years before Trevor. You got to keep on. The payroll gets higher. The line goes up. But that's why you sign a quarterback as soon as possible. Because, like I said, if you pay Purdy because you could pay Purdy right when playoffs start. That's when he's eligible for a new contract. So the moment the playoffs start and our season's over, you can sign him to an extension. And that's what they need to do. Because I promise you, the next person to get an extension or an extension, I guess, or a restructure, they're going to get probably like 75 to 80 million. They're going to get somewhere around that area. So I think it would be smart for the 49ers to get it now, because entering the next season or even the season after that, there's probably going to be about a $20 million difference. So I just think it's important to do that. Been saying Hurts and Purdy are the perfect comparison, similar size, same conference, both Super Bowl. I do not think they're the same. That's one thing we'll disagree on there, brother. They are not the same to me. Purdy carried the 49ers against the Lions and with this team running. Yeah, he destroyed. He came back. We got help from Lions because I think the Lions, I love the Lions. I love Dan Campbell's aggressiveness. I love his potential. But let's be real, some of his aggressiveness was kind of the reason why we won. But for the most part, Purdy coming back, performing. I think he had multiple big runs. He was out there looking like a discount Lamar Jackson. He was doing things that are incredible for any other quarterback. I do agree that he was the reason why we came back to the Lions. He's the reason why we came back from the Packers. He's the reason why we were in OT against the Chiefs when no other team could do that. He came closer than any other of those elite quarterbacks did in that playoffs. What's this man's cash app? I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. No cash app, but hey, when we get monetized, man, I appreciate it. I'll have super chats. We'll do the whole thing, which would be crazy, which would be absolutely crazy. What's this man's social media tag? I do not do. I'm very old man-esque where I don't have I don't have Twitter. I don't have any of that shit. I focus solely on my YouTube. So it's just at that 149er fan. I thought about changing it because it's a bit long, right? And some people type in that 49ers fan, not 49er fan. So I thought about changing it, but that's my tag right now. I appreciate it. Hey, Tim, welcome, man. Welcome to the squad, man. Welcome to the fam. Joe lined up in front of Burford, and Burford ran away. I know, dude. He was like, fuck that shit. I'm in my sophomore slump. And he goes somewhere else. So I think that was his sophomore season. I think that was Burford's sophomore season where he was like, I'm in my sophomore season. Fuck that. Oh, dude. We missed 2 years. Burrow should be MVP candidate. He should. And that's crazy. When you're playing so well that you have 5-8? I think they're 5-8. So well that a 5-8 team, you are possibly an MVP candidate. I think he should. He should be in the conversation. Some people want to say he's not in the conversation, and I don't think that's fair. That dude is doing everything possible. He's getting his fucking head ripped off, for fuck's sakes, out there making plays. Joe Burrow deserves some recognition. I do not think he's going to be MVP, but I do agree he should be in that conversation. We missed 2 years ago, too, drafting Cameron Latu, drop 2 instead of an Iowa State tackle. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there was a couple that are actually performing this year. I can't think of them on the top of my head. I think one of them is on the Steelers, and then Jones or something. I don't know if he's good or not. There's another one. There's another tackle that I wanted to get that we didn't get. Yeah, I think what happened, this is just my opinion, and there's no fact behind this whatsoever, so take this with a grain of salt. I think they didn't know what to do with the pick. That's bad for a team. Or two things. They didn't know what to do with the pick. They had a steal tag on him or whatever they do with that. We're like, hey, this guy's going to be a steal at this point. And they probably had that, and he was the last one remaining. And they're like, we can get him in the 5th round, but he's a steal to us. So let's just reach for him. That's what I think happened. Because if you look at his tape, there's nothing there. There's nothing. I watched his highlights. There's barely any. And even in his highlights, there was nothing. And then I watched what other people had to say about Cameron Latu. I don't understand where the Cameron Latu love came from. George Kittle, he didn't have that many targets. He became a steal, but he had great rapport with his coaches who told him, hey, he's a great blocker. He can do this, etc. There was things you could be like, okay, I can see why they drafted George Kittle. But for Cameron Latu, there was nothing. Just his size. And that was it. And you don't just draft a guy because he's got size. I've seen LeBron James play football. It's not the best. It's not the best. Need some anchor D tackles that get blown off the ball. 110% pause. But yes, I do agree with that. I think that we need a guy like what we expected out of Hargrave. We need to get a guy like that. Right? Elliott seems to be a pretty good, actually not that bad of a D tackle in my opinion. Malik Collins, I think, is solid. Someone we should keep as well. We restructured his contract for a reason. He's solid, but we need that none of them are that guy at the D tackle position, if that makes sense. Evan Anderson could be that guy. Potentially, he is a rookie. He's got potential. He looks like maybe a DJ Jones. And I know we say that a lot every year. Hey, maybe DJ Jones, maybe DJ Jones. But this could actually be that guy. Evan Anderson looks like a stud. And if he could build off his year, he might be that guy. But we definitely need that one guy to step up the D tackle position where you're like, oh my God, X guy is amazing. All right. We need that. I agree with that assessment. Thanks, says Jack, etc. Of course, man. Hey. You're welcome. 2020 draft, 49ers, Parker Brailsford, center guard, University of Alabama. I'll write that name down. Does anybody got any kind of prospects you want me to research and look up and get my opinion on it? If you guys care at all, I would love to research it. I'm not the best at researching draft classes. I usually go to Joe Klatt and see like who is he talking about. Sometimes Larry Kruger will bring up a draft prospect and I'll go check them out. But for the most part, I don't even know where to start. I don't pay attention to college. That's my weakness. When it comes to that, I don't pay too much to college. I usually go to people and what they have to say, and then I'll go research them. But I'll definitely write that name, Parker Brailsford. My partner, Poggy, we do a Poggy show every Sunday, usually every Sunday. He was with me in the Rams game, if you guys were there. Usually, he's the college guy. He knows college in and out. He knows all the guards. He knows all the tackles, centers, wide receivers, Heismans, etc. He knows the whole shebang. He's the college guy. So if you guys are interested in that kind of conversation, be here on Sunday at 9 a.m. before the games. Usually he knows everything there is to know about prospects. And that's my partner. He usually knows that stuff. So Parker Brailsford? Parker. That's an interesting name. Brailsford. I'll type that in as a center guard. All right. Boom. Written down. I'll check him out. First pick will be a tight end 2. Hey, if that tight end 2 is elite, why not? If he can block, why not? It's like having an offensive lineman. Maybe Kittle will start getting more reps. Now that you say that, I'm actually not. Should we draft a tight end first round? Or am I tripping balls? Because technically, that is the trenches. I'm doubting myself as I say it. Hey, I gambled my whole life away. Don't include gamblers. I blame fantasy owners. Debo, in my opinion, is really washed, and you can see that by seeing how slow Debo runs. But, man, DeAndre Campbell is something else. I know. 49 Sports in the house. I 110% agree, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, Debo, I kind of even thought myself, like, before that tweet, I thought he would have the self-awareness to be like, yeah, I'm not as good, so I'm not going to tweet something like that out. But he genuinely thought he wasn't getting enough touches to show that he wasn't struggling or whatever. Like, there wasn't enough sample size. 60 touches is not enough as a sample size. That is enough of a sample size. It's not like you're getting one touch a game. You only got 16 touches. I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, I don't get it. I really don't, dude. But after the Campbell, same thing with the Campbell thing. How do you not have the self-awareness of who Dre Greenlaw is and how you are performing this year? Where's the self-awareness, man? Where's the self-awareness, dude? Just some of these things seem obvious. Like some players, you'd be like, okay, I can see why he still believes himself. Like A.J. Brown, excellent wide receiver, complaining about the pass, whatever. I could see it. Diva complaining. He is still good, still great, still doing his job, just not getting the ball, whatever. I kind of get it. But to have zero self-awareness, like, bro, we've relied on you all season and you have not showed up. You have not broken a tackle since 1992. You have not done a good jet sweep since 1989. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but I'm just saying. Everyone's looking at the next Debo. Now they're all looking for the next Brock. I know they want that quarterback. I still think the 49ers should do the Tom Brady thing, the Patriots thing, where like even though they had Tom Brady, they were still drafting quarterbacks. I still think that we need to draft a quarterback in the 7th round, go for one undrafted, still do that, of course, because that's what the Patriots did, which is very smart of them because one time he got hurt and then Matt Castle came in and performed shit after that. But still, I still think you need to have that backup quarterback. It's still important to get that. But yeah, I agree with that. And people looking for the next Debo, the Jets tried doing that with McCorley. Don't even know how to use him. They do not even know how to use a McCorley player. Don't even know how to do it. Don't even know how to do it. Lions need linebackers. They do. Their defense is a little decimated, by the way. Their defense is a bit decimated right now. Don't look very good. But they're still performing. Despite not having Aiden Hutchinson, I think Brian Branch is out for a while. I think they're missing like 2 corners. They're missing a lot. Their linebackers, they're missing a lot. And they're still performing. So props to the Lions, man. You got to give Lions credit. Despite having all these injuries on their defense, they're performing. Gotta give them some credit for that. Not a Phillies fan, just got knowledge. Just get my knowledge from Jaguar Gator 9. All right, that's your guy. That's your content creator. All right, shout out to Jaguar Gator 9, man. Shout out, bro. Shout out. Only way this season could get worse is if the Lions signed Devandre Campbell and he comes back to Levi's week 17 and has a game sitting pick 6 to win the game 21. I will hate the Lions forever. I will forever be jaded towards the Lions. Forever. If they did that. I'm telling you, any team that signs Devondre Campbell, dude, I will hate you forever. Should we tank? No. Just like what Kittle said, Bosa said, and pretty much what Ward said as well, we're going to see what this team is the next few weeks. This is a test. These next few weeks need to be a test for these players of who wants, after you have someone quit mid-game, you have a wide receiver who's washed demanding the ball, you need to see who wants to be here. You need to see that. I understand there's risk of injury and stuff, but you cannot go into the season just quitting and after what happened in this game. After what happened in this game, you cannot do that. Hands are tied. Because I swear to God, if this team quits and shows no fight after that, everyone and their mom who's related to a content creator, that content creator is going to say that Kyle Shanahan has lost the locker room. There's already that conversation. Even though Devondre Campbell has always been a diva with the Green Bay Packers, and Devondre Campbell's never really been part of the culture from the core of it, always been a rental from the outside, was always a depth piece. But people want to hang their hat on it and saying, oh, he's representing the culture. You can't do it now. Because if you did it, then Kyle Shanahan's culture isn't working, apparently. It's not a thing. Now they have to go out there. They have to prove that this culture is still alive, that they're still willing to fight, willing to split. It doesn't matter. Hands are tied now by Devondre Campbell doing that. If you told me to tank after this game, team try or whatever, I could see where you're coming from. I don't think so. But now you have to. You have to. I can't lie, I was hyped when we beat the Jets in week 1, but since then we have changed a lot. Yeah, that week 1 W was pretty dope. The Cowboys W was pretty dope. I like the Cowboys W. That was clutch. That was a huge one. So my 2 favorite ones, because I hate Aaron Rodgers, so us destroying Aaron Rodgers was fantastic. It was succulent. It was very sensational. I gotta say, I like beating Aaron Rodgers. It makes me feel good. Makes me a little tickle butterflies inside when that happens. Same thing with the Cowboys. Top 3 most hated team is Steelers, Seahawks, and Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. We beat them, and we beat the Jets. So there's still some things to be happy about. I mean, the 49ers completely could have choked and really been really bad and lost to the Jets and Cowboys, which really would have broke my heart. That really would have hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. And at the very least, we split with the Seahawks. We didn't get swept. At least that happened. But there's some things. There's still some water in the cup, right? Cowboys, says Jake, etc., could have won in 16. DeJuan Jones was that guy. Is he playing good? because we could have got him in the 4th round. Well, with that pick, that comp pick, it's technically a 4th round pick, but I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. As a depressed Cincy fan, Burrow really should be MVP. You're a Cincinnati fan? Hey, man, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's a stud. Based on what I'm seeing this year from him is incredible. It's incredible. He had a down year where he got hurt that first year, but after that, with the Super Bowl, he was phenomenal. And this year, despite defying all odds, his defense is so bad that it doesn't matter how many points that dude scores. It just doesn't matter. It's like the same thing with Josh Allen. He performed against the Rams, but it did not matter how good he played because that defense could not stop the Rams. Just couldn't do it. Granco's minions make 0 sense. Just one of them last night said the 49ers win a playoff game until 2027. And I'm like, they got a soft schedule next year and they can make the playoffs and win a game. Do they have a soft schedule? That makes it even better. I don't understand that either because you're getting CMC back, probably Jordan Mason because he's an RFA. No one's really going to pay a high draft pick for him. He's a running back. And you have Isaac Guerrero who looks like an absolute stud. So the run game looks fine. Wide receiver. You're going to get Brandon Ayuk back, most likely, with his training, with not holding out, getting the reps that he actually needs. There's a good chance he'll come back to his original form. Same thing with Pearsall. Pearsall just needs to build a connection with Purdy, and Pearsall deserves a chance to get better. So, and Kittle's going to come back next year, and I don't see him dropping off next year. I don't see it because he looks like a total stud this year. Even if Kittle dropped off a little bit, it's fine. So, offensive-wise, the weapons we're getting wise, I agree. I don't know why people are saying 2027 when you reloaded in such a good way that you're set up for a good year next year, especially if you're saying the schedule is softer. If you're saying the schedule is softer next year than this year, then why not? You got possibly Greenlaw coming back, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, D tackles are okay. Draft the trenches with the D end. You're fine at corner. You're fine at linebacker. You're fine at safety. Why not? It's just some people, and I'm not saying everyone, but sometimes people have emotions. They get angry, and they need that vindication. And by talking shit about that, you can hide behind it. If someone were to talk shit, be like, oh, 49ers suck. But yeah, I know they do. You hide behind that, right? And if they win, you could be like, oh, I'm surprised. That's awesome. I could celebrate because I've been here. I'm a 49ers fan, blah, blah, blah. You can still reap that reward. So there's just some people out there that take an emotion of a game or their emotions, and they need to go somebody who can vindicate that emotion, who can vindicate their problems, and say it makes sense why you're upset. You should be upset. You should doubt this team. You have those people. Because it's not easy. It really is not easy to pull aside your emotions and think logically. I don't always do it. Not gonna lie to you. But it's not easy. That's the hard part. The hard part is being like, okay, this happens. Okay, this season where I put a lot of effort into believing in this team, they let me down, even though a lot of things outside their control would destroy just about any team in the NFL. And so you kind of feel like you wasted your whole year believing in your team. So you need that vindication of wasting your time. That's just what happens. And that's why, and that's just how it is. It's always going to be like that. The hard part of being a fan in anything is pulling your emotions aside and thinking logically. That is the hard part of being a fan. And some people don't want to do it. They don't want to do the hard part. They think that winning a Super Bowl is the only time your team was ever good. So that way, if they lose a Super Bowl, lose an NFC championship, they can go to the person who vindicates their emotions, who is angry at their team, can be like, you agree with me and I feel good about it. That's the thing. And people don't understand that you going to the NFC championship, you going to the Super Bowl, means your team is fucking good. Means your team is probably elite. Means your team probably has a lot going for itself. If your team just happened to go to the Super Bowl one year and then for the next 4 years you don't do it or whatever, That is called a one-hit wonder team. This 49ers team, hasn't won the Super Bowl, but they've been dominant for majority of the Kyle Shanahan era. The only time that they have not been dominant is when they rebuilt it in 2017 and 2018, trying to recover from the Chip Kelly era, which incredible. Props to Kyle and John Lynch for doing that. Going to the Super Bowl in 2019. Then in 2020, Super Bowl hangover, injuries galore, like 14 players went on IR. Then going on another run in 2021, 2022, 2023. And then in 2024, after going to Super Bowl hangover, you got 2020 injuries once again happening with personal tragedy on top of it. With holdouts on top of it. Bad luck things on top of it. So that's the thing. What is your team doing consistently compared to the one-hit wonders or the one bad year that they have? Why did they have that one bad year? Why did they have that one great year and then there's shit after that? That's what we got to pay attention to. We invested a lot into this year. We invested a lot of our emotions into this game. So I'm not going to sit here and say you're a piece of shit for listening to that guy. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say you're a bad person. I understand where you're coming from. I really do. But you're not thinking logically. You're thinking with your emotions and you're trying to protect yourself. That's what it is. Same thing with like Lombardi's, like you're doing the opposite. I don't hate Lombardi, but he's also super positive. Just super positive all the time. But there is a gray area. There is a middle. There really is. You can admit that Debo's washed, but at the same time, saying this 49ers team was cursed from the start. You can say that. But if you're saying that this team is who they always were, makes no sense because you literally went to NFC Championship games. You literally went to Super Bowls. So saying that 1 year where everything could possibly go wrong is who they always were is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. If they go into next year and they perform like this with nothing going wrong and it's really just them, it's within their control, fine. You could say the Super Bowl is closing. They're not doing very well. Probably need to move on from head coach. But this year makes sense. A year, 2 years from now, we're going to say this. We're going to straight up say, makes sense why that 49ers team didn't make the playoffs. Just like we say about the 2020 team, it makes sense why that team didn't make the playoffs. We're just caught up in the moment. This went one after the Super Bowl hangover in 2020, but they made the NFC Championship game with an upgraded QB. They would win the Super Bowl next year with Purdy. 110%. Losing that Week 3 Rams game hurt more than last night. Not gonna lie, I feel also like in a weird way it's more satisfying when we beat them at SoFi compared to Levi's. Obviously, I want them to sweep them. Yeah, I agree. It's always better when you beat a division rival in their home court. It feels good. It feels good. I agree with you. With our injuries, it has been a tough year. Matthew Vader. I'm Matthew Vader. I feel like I have to say that with that intensity. Matthew Vader. The one positive of us not being 10-4 and losing those 4 games division-wise, if we are 10-4, we'd just be in the 2023 Eagles all over again. Great record, fraud team that loses. That's another thing. People want to call this team frauds. I'm sorry. A fraud team is a good team, a great team. Sorry, is a bad team. I take that back. Not it. Let me go backwards. It is a great-looking team that's actually bad. A bad team posing as a great team. This team has just had a sucky season. There is nothing about this 49ers team that's pretending to be anything. There's not one 49ers fan that I can find saying this team right now with everything that's happened to them is great. So I do agree. Like people they lose if the 49ers were 10-4, like you said, I would agree with you. There's a fraud. And if someone called them a fraud, they might have a case to that. They would have a case to that. But a fraud is like the definition of a fraud is just not the case. So we'd end up losing in round 1. Yeah, it's something like that. We lose in round 1. Next year, they play the AFC and NFC South, and they have the last place of schedule. Looking at the schedule, NFC South, that's good. That's good. Who's the AFC South? I don't know who's in the AFC. Let me check. AFC South. Texans, Colts. Oh, shit. Okay. Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm looking for that's awesome, dude. We're playing the NFC South and AFC South next year, dude. Awesome. Let's go. That's awesome, dude. I love that. Do we pick up a defensive coordinator this offseason? I don't think we should, but I know we will. And that's not a good thing, in my opinion, because our defensive coordinator. I don't think so either. I don't think we should get rid of him because he's shown flashes of being good. Against that Rams game, technically he was pretty good. The defense was a little confused and let Cody Parker open on that pass, which allowed the Rams to win the game. But like, he is a rookie at the end of the day. And D'Amico Ryans even had his blemishes his rookie year. So I don't think so. I know a lot of people are hard on Sorensen, but I think we shouldn't. It depends who comes open, right? Is there a better defensive coordinator out there that's going to be than this experiment we have? This experiment that's shown flashes of some pretty good potential, especially with Dre Greenlaw in the lineup. I think we should keep him. I know a lot of people probably not going to agree with me on that, but I think we should keep him. Keep them develop players. And also defensive coordinators, the 49ers seems to be like, do the players like the coach? And it does seem like the players like Nick Sorensen. 2024 is a really surprising season in the NFL. 110%. Papa J in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. You caught me at the end of the live, my man. We talked about everything almost. Just a bit. Want to get rid of Staley, though? Yes. Go away. Go. He's that. They talked about it. I can't remember what Kyle Shanahan said. He says the nickel. He says that Brandon Staley focuses on like the nickel and dime of the defense. That means that motherfucker put two safeties out there against Justin Jefferson. Fuck that. I don't like him. I do not like him. I do not want him on this team. I do not want Nick Sorensen to learn from that guy. I do not want that to happen. What up, Niner fans? It's Papa J showing some love. I said, all good. I was Xmas shopping. Hey, man. Oh, man. Hope you didn't spend too much money, but at the same time, satisfied everybody else. Got things done. Got some good gifts. So I'm pretty simple. You either just like buy me. I'm like, usually people either buy me a book, socks, some clothes, hats. I'm a big hat guy. I got this hat for Christmas. All my 49ers hats I got for Christmas. And I got like 4 other ones when I'm on vacation. But yeah, I'm a hat guy. I'm a book guy. And clothes and socks. That's a bit. How many Super Bowls did the 49ers win if they drafted Mahomes in 27 or drafted Brady in 2000? Dude, if Kyle had Patrick Mahomes. That is such a good question, Spidey. Well, I mean, it literally takes Patrick Mahomes for the 49ers to lose a Super Bowl, right? So I'd say we win 2. I think we win both our Super Bowls. Because what you're saying at that point is the Chiefs don't have Patrick Mahomes and we do. And so by default, we win that Super Bowl. So technically, I think we would have 2 right now. Just because, again, you're doing 2 things there. You're not only getting Patrick Mahomes, who I think is the 3rd greatest, either second or 3rd greatest quarterback of all time in that conversation. And you're also taking away Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowls because they don't have Patrick Mahomes. You're doing 2 things there, and I'd say multiple. Gotta go, but see ya. Thanks. See you, Niners fan. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Good to see you, 4 Sports. Take care, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Take care. Appreciate you. I think Mahomes wins either 2021 or 22, so we'll probably get 2022 because he's cooked the Eagles that year in the Super Bowl. I think that Brock Purdy would have beat the Eagles if he didn't tear his PCL. I think he would have won that because on that play where Brock Purdy was going to throw the ball to Ayuk, he was open for it would have been a touchdown. So if Brock just had half a second more, would have been a different case, but then I have a second he's probably still got that impact. But I do blame. See, like a lot of people, like I'm not jumping on the Kyle. Like I swear to God, every time I talk shit about Kyle, people think I'm not. People are going to think that I think he should be fired. I don't, but I do blame him for putting a backup tight end on literally Hassan Reddick, who was the best pass rusher that year, because he wanted to do something funny, because he wanted to trick the pass rush. So I do think Kyle got Brock Purdy hurt in that game, because I don't know what you're doing putting a backup tight end on the best pass rusher. I thought that the moment it happened. So if other content creators are saying that, that is something I felt from the start. And I still think that to this day. 0 super for Mahomes, and he would have been digressed with these coaches. I disagree, Papa J. Kyle is not that bad of a coach, man. He's still top 10, top 5 head coach. So I'm still mad at Kyle right now. I know, man. You're feeling it. You know what? After that game, dude, I don't know if you saw my comment, but I agree with you. That game, getting 6 points from an offensive mastermind in general for that game, you need some blame. You need a good chunk. So I can't defend Kyle with that one, and you're right to feel that way. But I disagree. Kyle still got to the Super Bowl, and quite literally the only thing that stopped him was one of the greatest head coaches, quarterback duos of all time. That's what it took to stop him. It stopped the Bills, it stopped the Ravens, it stopped the Dolphins, it stopped the Bengals at one time. It quite literally took Tom Brady, who's the greatest quarterback of all time, to beat him. So I don't agree with that. Mahomes probably doesn't tear his PCL because you get that number 1 seed that year, and if that's the home game, everything goes different. Including I feel like any great head coach who had Patrick Mahomes would win multiple Super Bowls. I think he's that good. He's clutch. The thing is, like with Joe Montana, he could play bad for 3 quarters, but in that 4th quarter, he will make the plays that he has to, and Mahomes has that ability. He will make the plays that he has to, no matter what, most of the time. And I think that if Patrick Mahomes had Kyle, Sean McVay, who's some other great, I think if even Pete Carroll had him at the time, I'm trying to think of some other head coaches out there that are great. I can't seem to think of other ones on top of my head. I think they win multiple Super Bowls with him. He's just that good. If Purdy started in 2022, they get that 1 seed that year as well. I know I do agree with that to a sense, because I do think him sitting behind. I do agree that him sitting behind Jimmy G and who's the other quarterback? Trey Lance allowed him to study the offense in and out. Yeah, he's not getting the reps he needs with the number 1s, but you can tell, like, I feel like just like Patrick Mahomes had his rest for 15 weeks behind Alex Smith, I feel like that helped him out a lot too. And Patrick Mahomes actually says that. And I think that him having that time to develop helped out a lot. So I kind of agree, but I kind of don't. Wolfie, if you were Jed, what would you do from here on? Keep Kyle, keep John Lynch. Tell him hey, man, you got to fix your first-round draft pick issues, because you're just one good draft away, one good off season away from reloaded. I think we did the counting. What was it, like 14, 15 players that will be here in 2027, 2028 that we think are great, that keep the window open. If this team can just have one good draft and one good free agency, we're good. So my message to them is like, hey, you got to get this first-round draft pick right. You have to. You got to get this draft right. You got to get this free agency right. I would tell Kyle that, hey, I'm giving you a pass this year because I don't expect other head coaches to do anything great with this team with everything that's happened. All right, and you've been consistent for 3 years prior to this. I would tell him that. But if you repeat this performance with everything going right and the bad luck doesn't repeat itself, I would put him on the hot seat. That's what I do. But I'm keeping John Lynch because John Lynch, whether you like him or not, he may not be good at the first round draft pick thing, but my God, is he good at second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. He's good at all of those undrafted. He's good at that. If they just fix their first round woes, this team would probably be different. Would look a lot from McGlinchey. I can name them all. Solomon Thomas, like if they just fix their first round woes and have a good offseason, this team is reloaded. I mean that. You got Pearsall and Cowling, who I like. You got great wide receiver. You got great running backs. You just need to build that offensive line, and you need to build that trench. The trenches are so important this offseason. So important. And I'm signing Purdy. I'm signing Purdy 110%. I'm giving him the money. And I'm protecting him. I'm signing Purdy, and the first thing I'm doing is looking to offensive line. That is the first thing that I'm doing. If you're John Lynch, which player would you let go? I am letting go of Debo after June 1st. He's going to be a June 1st cut. So I can't imagine a team wanting that contract for the production that he's been given. So I would probably get rid of Debo. Campbell's been cut already, so that's one of them. Hargrave, I'm cutting after June 1st as well because he's not producing really well, and you save a lot of money by cutting him. You save a lot of money, which can go into an extension for some player, right? And I think you can only do 2 post-June 1st cuts. So those are my first June cuts. It would be Debo and Hargrave. Then I think that's about it. I wouldn't cut anybody else. Just those 2 players, Debo and Hargrave, after June 1st. Everyone else, I'd probably let Banks go, try to keep Greenlaw. Hufanga can go. I like Hufanga, but Malik Mustafa is looking like a stud. He's looking like a stud, possibly looking better than Hufanga, right? Even though Hufanga looked great coming back, but he didn't look great before that either. Like, not this injury, but when he came back after the bye week, he didn't look that good. Then he got hurt, came back with the club on his hand, looked good, right? But I would probably let go of Hufanga, keep Malik Mustafa. I like Jair Brown. He's having a little bit of a sophomore slump. So probably let Hufanga, Banks go, cut Debo and Hargrave, and then rebuild from there. Because I got a feeling it just depends upon Hufanga. Like, is Hufanga going to take a discount? If Hufanga takes a discount, like a 2-year deal discount, sure. But I'm not paying him top dollar safety money. Because not only do I think Malik Mustafa in the end is going to be better than him, I also think that Hufanga is not as fast. And I don't think he's that good. Like, I like what he's done in the past. I love his energy. I love the vibe he brings to the culture, but I don't think he's as good as people give him credit for. Who are you picking the Super Bowl this year? I got the Lions. Even though they're going to destroy us, then the fans are probably going to talk a lot of shit. I still wish the best for the Lions because even though I think Dan Campbell's going to cost him a playoff game, I would love to see him win a Super Bowl. I like Dan Campbell. He truly loves the game. He truly loves his team. He truly is a good representation for a squad. So I want the Lions. Vikings would be great because the Vikings have to be the most unlucky team of all time. They have like the 5th most wins of all time of any NFL team or something like that. And they've been NFC championship game after NFC championship game, playoffs to playoffs with having the worst luck. So the Vikings and Lions probably I'm going for the most. Bills, I wouldn't mind the Bills winning because I like Josh Allen. I like their culture. And not to mention, they lost 4 straight Super Bowls. That fan base deserves a little something. And I understand that their fan base pushed one of their people pushed like when the 49ers with the Bills, one of their fans pushed a little girl down some steps. That's bad. But one bad apple does not affect the entire thing. So, and for the most part, Bills have usually been very good with charity, I think for the most part, they're nice people. They're like one of the nicest fan bases out there. And I think they deserve a Super Bowl. How they handle the Super Bowl, that's up to grabs because the Philly, even though Philly wasn't the best fan base, I still kind of rooted for them because they were nice. Like I like the Eagles, I like their colors, etc. But when they won a Super Bowl, they did not know how to win one. They did not know how to win. They became obnoxious. They became a whole different level of what the fuck. So it depends how the Bills handle winning a Super Bowl. But I definitely got the Bills, Lions, and Vikings. Probably those three. Houston would be a good one. Papa J says Houston. Denver. The reason why I'm not going for Denver because I watched Brandon Perna of That's Good Sports, and watching him crash out brings me joy. Absolute joy. When he got Russell Wilson, he was obnoxious. I kind of loved it. He was like, fucking suck it, guys. Blah, 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 blah. And then he straight up. And Russell Wilson was shit. And that whole thing is just funny to me. So I don't wish the best on Broncos for that one reason, because I want to see Perna crash out. I think it's funny. All right. I got some last of these comments. I'll get out of here. It's a 2-hour show. This might have been my longest show I've ever done. You guys were awesome tonight. That's always incredible. Still have to make dinner. I agree, Wolf. Hey, Papa J, agree. Let's do it. Look, I don't like the Chiefs because they have beat us twice in the Super Bowl. How can you be a Niners fan and hate them more than Dallas, Philly, or even LA? They got a better fan base than those teams. Twice Super Bowl. How can you be a Niners fan and hate them more than Dallas, Seattle, Philly, or even LA? They got better fan base than those teams. Yeah, I agree with that. I think they handle – I don't know about you guys, but I do agree with that. I agree with that assessment that some – like the Chiefs fan base are a dynasty at this point. They're a dynasty. But their fans, for the most part, from what I've seen, have been relatively great when you look at the aspect of the Patriots. Like that, the Patriots fan base was unbearable. I'm talking about fan base wise. Fan base for the Chiefs, for being a dynasty, they're not as obnoxious as you think they would be. Dallas has been obnoxious and they have won shit. Philly wins one Super Bowl, suddenly everything is like world revolves around them. Seattle, I was born in Washington State, so I kind of have that bias where I was in behind enemy lines. So I have that bias there. And I constantly had to fight with the Seattle Seahawks fans from 2010. Sorry, that entire Russell Wilson era in Seattle, I had to do nothing but argue with people. It was unbearable. Respectful after the Super Bowl, I don't like them, but I have no issue with them outside. Yeah, I agree. Like so far, like they're not douchebags. Like I have heard some shit talking, but not as much as you think for someone who wins a Super Bowl. You know, going now. But one last thing, I wish we played the Ravens last year in the Super Bowl. Brock would have tore them up in rematch. We won 31-23 instead. We had to go to versus Spags, Reed Mahomes. Possibly. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a little more afraid of the Ravens just because seeing what they did to us prior. And I don't think we played the Chiefs that year. I think we did last year. And I think someone got hurt. I could be tripping balls, but yeah, I think Ravens or Chiefs would have been tough. I think they've both been tough. I'm going for Denver or Houston, says Papa J. I like the Houston take. Who do you think will win? So who do I think will win? It's probably the Chiefs. It's kind of hard to not pick the Chiefs right now because not only, the offense is not playing very well, but everything is going their way, not just refs wise. Like just the luck, everything points to them three-peating. So until I'm given a reason that they're not that team, because last year you could argue they're not winning the Super Bowl. They shouldn't have, with their lack of wide receiver core, and the only thing they were relying on was the number one defense, etc. So last year, I think was the best opportunity to stop them. This year, I think they got better, even with their wide receiver core and injuries. I still think the Chiefs this year have a better chance than they did last year. So with that being said, I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat until some team shows me that they can beat them convincingly. Until that happens. Niners for life! I'm way too late. No, apologize. You're here, man. You made it here even though I got to bounce. I've been here about 2 hours. Still good to see you, man. Still good to have you here, man. Still good to have you here. Better late than never. Don't worry. I was late myself, too. Yeah, I'll get you guys some late slips, okay? Last year, Niners didn't play Chiefs in regular season. Okay, I didn't think so. But for some reason, there was a time late. I think Detroit. Detroit would be nice. Yeah, it's got to catch up to them at some point, right? It's got to, but I just can't confidently say that with just everything going right for them. So I got the Chiefs for that reason. I can't wait for the Eagles and Seahawks get eliminated this year. All that shit talking their fans doing last year's Super Bowl. We got our revenge this season. One good. Yeah. The teams that can't win the Super Bowl, just the team that I voted for, Chiefs, I don't want winning the Super Bowl, even though I think they are. Doesn't change the fact that I don't. What I want to happen, I don't want the Chiefs to do it. I don't want the Ravens to do it. I don't want the Steelers to do it. I don't want the Seahawks to do it. I don't want the Eagles to do it. Is there another team that's possibly going that I don't want to go? I think that's it. Just those 5 teams. If those 5 teams don't make it, I'd say the season is a W, considering everything. I just got to say, that's kind of a W, considering how bad the season has been for the 49ers. And those teams not winning a Super Bowl, it's kind of a win's a win, all right? I don't care what you say. A win's a win. I don't care what you say. A win's a win, all right? That's how I look at it. Got to go now. I got to take off too. Yeah, take care, Spidey. Hey, appreciate you having you here, man. Appreciate you having me. Though we disagree on some things. Appreciate having you here. I freaking hate the Steelers. I do too, Jake. Appreciate you coming up in here, man. You're awesome, Jake. Thank you so much. Papa J, even though you were late, man, I still love you, man. Thank you so much. You're the best mod a channel could ask for, a bro could ask for. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Tyler, you came in late, but hey, best Chiefs fan I know. Good to see you, man. I got to take off. You came in at the 2 hour and 6 minute mark. Still good to see you. What about Green Bay? How would you feel if they went out? I would be disappointed because I'm not entirely a fan of Green Bay either. So I would be disappointed with that. I hope they get destroyed by the Eagles this upcoming week. We'll see. Hey, KK917BE. What up, dude? Good to see it, but I'm taking off. Thank you so much for joining, even though you got in here. Have to wait for next year for the season. It's all right, man. It's all right. There were some W's. We beat the Cowboys. We beat the Aaron Rodgers. And as long as those teams I mentioned don't make the Super Bowl, a win's a win. Say goodbye to Pop J. Say goodbye to Spidey. Say goodbye to Jake. Take off, Taylor. Niners for life. Thank you so much for being here. KK9117. Appreciate you being here as well. Who else came in here? Matthew Vader. I'm Matthew Vader. That name is dope as fuck, dude. I like that name. That's a cool name. Appreciate you having here. 49er Sports. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Juan made an appearance. Appreciate you as always, my man. Appreciate you. 50 casual. I don't think you're really officially casual, man. I think you're fishy. Filthy casual. I think you're an OG at this point, man. Steve-O, for a troll, man, you're pretty dope. I like you. Terror Domes, thank you so much for the compliments, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Hope to see more of you. Be there for the Wolfie and Polly show. You're awesome. 49ers Media, of course, as always, good to see you. Alex Plays, thank you so much for being here as well. Spartan Vert, I can't say this word. Spartan Virtus. You know what I'm saying. Thank you so much for coming in here. King Mufasa, as always, OG. You guys are awesome. I think that's Debo Prods too came in here, and Jack So, literally him. Thank you all for supporting this channel. This channel is literally nothing without you. This channel has been a surprise. I thank you so much. I've made so many friends through this. Heck, even enemies, even some haters. I don't mind it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to these lives because of it. And we always have a great conversation. 2 hours, man. This was supposed to be like a 30-minute show. 2 hours. And that's because of you. Thank you so much. To everybody who subs later, to everyone who watches this later, to everyone who subs later, oh my God, I can't speak. To everybody who watches this later and hasn't subbed, please sub. Helps out my channel, helps me grow, and it makes you part of the conversation. And it's nothing without you. So thank you so much. Like this live, of course. It helps me out a lot. Helps this channel grow. And right now we're at 33,450 50 something. So we're getting there. I mean, that's 3,400, 500 more than I thought I'd ever get. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. It makes my 49ers heart grow from here to here. All love, fam. I'll see you Sunday for the Wolfie and Poggy show. Bang, bang, Niner gang.